It is Sunday sit-down time. With us now virtually is the now world-famous play-by-play broadcaster, because you're covering the KBO now, so now you're world-famous. It's Tom Hart, a Columbia native. He's got the Como shirt on. Tom, thanks so much for taking the time on a Sunday.
Glad to be here. You know, this is, you can't get this anywhere anymore. This is collector's item. So I thought I'd wear it just for you. The people, I've worn this during the Korean baseball broadcast. The people in Seoul and Daegu and Incheon don't seem to care. But I thought you and your viewers would appreciate it.
Of course, we love the Como shirt. I think everyone out there just is probably curious what it's like to be a play-by-play broadcaster during a pandemic. You told me before that you're in your studio actually right now.
Yeah, this is my studio. It's a corner of my room at home that usually in another life my kids used for their board games. That's over here off camera. And then behind me, I was able to grab just some random mementos, Quincy University helmet, shout out to QU. And then whatever else I had to try and make it look like, you know, this is the real deal. And it's actually a studio. When in reality, I'm sitting in a corner of my basement with a picture of my dog hanging in the background. It's what we do in 2020, right? We make the best out of everything. And it might be a little pixie dust and a little bit magic to make it seem more real than it really is. Well, listen, Andrew, as long as there's games going on and I get to work, I could be calling them from the moon and I'd be happy. So it is what it is.
How'd you get into the KBO broadcasting?
My boss called, I pick up the phone. I mean, it was really that simple. In the summer, when no other sports were going on, ESPN was looking for live sports content. They need to deliver that to their viewers, to the homes that they're in. And lo and behold, there was live sports going on, but it was half a world away. So there was live baseball in Japan and in South Korea, and there was some, I think, footy going on in Australia. And they were able to strike a deal.
Well, starting tomorrow, the SEC says that they're allowed to switch the slate of weekend games just 5 days before. I'm curious, do you have any insight for us? Are any of the games going to get changed this weekend?
Well, I don't know anything, but I do know that the coaches are motivated to play as often as they can. I mean, Missouri is a great example, missing a ton of guys going into South Carolina this weekend. Mike Leach went into Georgia. And by the way, Mississippi State almost beat Georgia. And they did it with 20 fewer scholarship players than they would normally have, probably more than that. But there is a lot on the line for the league. I mean, they need to play these games.
You just mentioned Mizzou's big win yesterday over South Carolina, the second straight Mayor's Cup with just 52 scholarship players. Coach Drinkwitz is now 3-3 in his first year. You mentioned he hasn't gotten you a helmet back there for you, but what do you think of the way Coach Drinkwitz has started out his tenure here in Columbia?
Hold on, he has been so nice to me. I've got more gear than I can handle. You just asked why I didn't have a full-size Missouri helmet. That's the only answer. I've collected others. I'm sure one is on the way. He's done a remarkable job this season. I don't know that any of us will fully realize just how difficult it is to coach during this pandemic. I was speaking with another SEC head coach this past week, and he said, hey, have you noticed what Missouri's doing? I mean, look at what Eli has going on, and look how they can finish the season. I mean, outside of the top tier of the league, Alabama and Florida, you can maybe put Georgia in there, just a hair behind Florida. Missouri has a chance to finish at the top of the division.
Well, next up for Mizzou, Barry Odom returns to Faurot Field for the first time since getting fired after last year. What do you think it'll be like for Coach Odom to return to Faurot Field with a team that, you know, they lost this past weekend, but Arkansas has actually been, I don't want to say good, but better than they've been in the past?
Well, better than expected, right, and better than advertised. And Arkansas is one of those teams that I was referring to that has trust. Their players have trust in a new coaching staff, and Barry Odom as a defensive coordinator, certainly a big part of that. I know he'll have mixed emotions. I just saw him a couple weeks ago, and first thing I said to him, he was at practice, had his Arkansas gear on. I said, hey, you're going to think I'm being a smart aleck, but you actually look good in Arkansas red. And he's happy there. He's happy with what he's doing. He's happy with the guys that he's working with. I know it was heartbreaking for him to lose a job at his alma mater in a place that really the only place he had known as home since he left Oklahoma as a high school running back to come play for Larry Smith in Columbia. So there'll be a lot of mixed emotions. There'll also be a lot of motivation. I mean, he has a very good defense. They're young in places and they don't have a ton of depth, but he will have them ready to go. And I think it'll be a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, we'll see if Mizzou can get that 5th straight battle line rivalry. Well, switching over to hoops, we got college basketball this week, which is crazy to think about. Mizzou returns a ton of talent, the most experienced team in the SEC, also bringing back the most scoring. But they were picked 10th in the league. Is that fair or foul, do you think?
Nothing's fair in 2020. Like, we should just throw that word out the window, right? I mean, you can't complain about what somebody else thinks about you. You just have to go out there and get it done. I think what I talked about that applies to the Missouri football team also applies to Conzo and his basketball team. The teams that are together are going to have chances for success at the end of this year. It's going to be a weird year. There's going to be startups and shutdowns, and teams are going to sit on the sideline for 2 weeks and then have to ramp back up, and you're going to lose games that you should have won, and you're not going to have to play games that you probably would have lost. And you have to juggle all of this and do it on the fly while also dealing with the regular stresses and strains that come with being a coach in the SEC or student athlete in the SEC. But Conzo's always related to his guys off the court, even, or maybe even more so off the court, where they know that he has their best interests at heart, more than just being a basketball player, but in lifelong success. And those kinds of relationships, they're obviously important anytime, but they're even more so important this year. It will also be very different, mind you, playing in a totally empty gym, whether you're at Mizzou Arena or Rupp Arena. If there's only 2,000 people in there, or in some cases in the SEC, no fans allowed, it's going to be a question of inner motivation, which will be fascinating to see who handles it best.
Final question here is, how are you going to get Mizzou off the SEC alternate network? It seems like the Tigers always ended up on the alternate channel.
Well, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna say this, just like anything else in 2020, be patient. You know, what is a television schedule now could change in 12 hours from now. It could change in 4 days from now. So, you know, knock on wood, they'll be where they need to be. I'm using all of my power to try and get a Missouri game. I mean, that's my big concern. I need to come back and flash a T-shirt and see mom and dad. Hi, mom and dad. Thanks for watching. They watch you every night, by the way. So that's what I'm using all my juice for.
Well, I appreciate your parents' viewership, and definitely appreciate you coming on the show. I know you are a very busy man, up at 3 in the morning calling KBO games, also calling college football, college basketball, and also a dad as well. So props to you for all your good work these past couple of months.
Well, thanks for having me on. I wish I could be there in person. I wish I could see all my friends and family back in Columbia, but this is obviously the next best thing.
All right. Well, thanks so much to Tom Hart, and we will be right back after this.